Okay, here's what we're going to do, Murray. We're going with quarterback controversies. Quarterback controversies, I would argue, I'll call them notable. Might be the best.
How far back we going?
Okay, so this is the thing. You got to draw a line somewhere. You want to get back into like Sid Luckman or George Blanda, do that on your own time. I couldn't give a rat's ass. For example, Terry Bradshaw, when he came up with Pittsburgh, was involved in a quarterback controversy. Did not include that. Don't care. Okay, that one's out. Same with Roger Staubach. No. So the rough line of delineation is 1980-ish. Okay, ish. And I will say that I took some editorial license here because if there was one locally that really wasn't that big, say for those people who lived through it, I might have included it just to give it a little bit of local flavor. Let me also tell you that I can guarantee for you that there is not one notable one, at least as far as we're concerned on this list, and that's Drake May and Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, because it was fake. It wasn't really a quarterback controversy at all.
Also, beyond that, it's hard to, at this stage, they both kind of suck.
Fair enough.
So I don't know how much of it's how much of a controversy it can be if you pick them between two bums. So, for example, did the Indianapolis Colts have a quarterback controversy after Andrew Luck got hurt? No, because they all sucked. What kind of controversy could that be? So there's got to be some sort of notable personality or talent involved in it. Okay, so we are going to start with Tier 3. Tier 3. Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler. There was a little bit of a controversy there in Denver. You remember in the Super Bowl year. Who did they play?
I was an Osweiler guy at that point.
Now, there was obviously an injury involved, but nonetheless, Manning got picked. I put that on the list. Similarly, back when they were the Redskins, the Washington Redskins, Jay Schrader, Doug Williams, there was a debate as to who of those two guys should play. Ultimately, Williams won a Super Bowl with the then Redskins. This is the one that I was telling you that probably doesn't belong on the list, save for the fact that it happened here. Tony Eason and Steve Grogan. That was a big one. That was in the Super Bowl year, 1985, because Grogan came in when Eason was hurt, and I think the team went 7-1 with Grogan as a starter. A lot of people wanted Grogan. They went back to Eason in the playoffs. He did get them to the Super Bowl. We all know what happened after that. The Ravens, the year they won the Super Bowl, had a quarterback controversy.
That's right.
Tony Banks, Trent Dilfer. Dilfer took over, ultimately kept the job. If you look at the numbers, they both sucked.
Yeah, it was a coin flip, a suck between those two guys.
But it was a Super Bowl winning team, and it was a question as to who do they play at quarterback. You guys pointed out this one to me because I totally forgot that one of them even played for the team he played for. Tim Tebow, Mark Sanchez with the Jets.
I mean, this became a thing for a little while because of the New York tabloids. Tebow got traded from Denver in 2012, spring of 2012, to the Jets. And that summer, it's like Tebow Mania comes to Broadway. Tebow's going to take the job from Mark Sanchez. Like, they tried to force that thing to happen. But it didn't because Tebow sucked.
And the other one...
You know you suck when you can't beat out Mark Sanchez for a job. That is the suckiest, greatest quarterback competition of all time. Both those guys blew.
The only other one on the list in Tier 3 is Jay Cutler, Kyle Orton with Denver. This is essentially was the end of the Jay Cutler, Josh McDaniels relationship. They ended up trading him to the Bears, but there was some...
well, McDaniels hated him.
Yeah, that's right. He wanted to get rid of him from the start, but as a result, there was a controversy in Denver. Tier 2. We'll go to Tier 2, and these get a little juicier now.
Yeah, juicy tier.
Troy Aikman, Steve Walsh. People forget. The year they drafted Aikman, the year Jimmy Johnson drafted Troy Aikman, he drafted Steve Walsh in the supplemental draft.
Who he had at Miami, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it created an immediate controversy. It's a good one in Buffalo for a period of time. Doug Flutie, Rob Johnson.
These idiots going with that. I hated Rob Johnson so much with his stupid surfer hair. That they ever... Good. I'm glad that blew... It was Wade Phillips at the time, I think, was the head coach. I'm so happy that blew up in his face.
What a stiff.
I mean,
Go with Flutie. I'm not even a Flutie guy.
That was the ultimate sort of physically perfect NFL prototype in Rob Johnson and the guy who won games in Doug Flutie. The Giants, Hostetler Sims. This was a big one.
Yep.
This could have been Tier 1. Ultimately, I put it in Tier 2. I'll explain to you why shortly. But Hostetler and Sims had both won Super Bowls. What do you do if I'm not mistaken, I think I don't know if the Giants traded Hostetler now that I think of it. I think they went back to Sims and then Hostetler signed with the Raiders, as a free agent. But that was sort of, they never won again after Hostetler won the Super Bowl. The Giants never did. But that was a big one at the time. This is a smaller one, but I'm including it. It's sort of a, what's the right word? It's a, what do you call it? Foreshadowing.
I was going to say conduit, maybe?
Yeah, I'm foreshadowing the next tier. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Only because Rodgers, the end of the Rodgers era, became sort of a cluster, as it did with his predecessor. But the controversy in Green Bay really centered more around Rodgers. But the idea was you get rid of him and play Love. That whole thing.
Well, the selection, I said conduit because that was the conduit to his ending in Green Bay. That selection of Jordan Love really pissed him off.
Absolutely.
It ended the relationship between him and the GM there.
Very good point. Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde. A lot of people in New England know about that one, know it well, because Bill Belichick relived it later on, which we will get to in Tier 1. But that was a big one in Cleveland. And in New York again, Eli Manning and Kurt Warner.
I think this one's underrated.
I forgot about this one. I'm glad you guys reminded me. We were able to keep it or put it on the list. So Eli and Warner, also a big one in New York. Now, you want, before we get to Tier 1, I think Tier 1 is sort of like Hall of Fame controversy.
National news, day in, day out. It's all anyone's talking about type stuff.
Okay, and the number one on the list, which is above all others to me, is indisputable. So let's go to Tier 1. The greatest quarterback controversy of all time, Joe Montana and Steve Young. To me, indisputable. 2 Hall of Fame players. Basically, hard to get bigger than that. Brady, Bledsoe, certainly right there. That's one that worth mentioning. Frankly, I think it's number 2 on the list. Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers might be 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks there. Only one of them won a Super Bowl in Drew Brees, but good pairing. Tony Romo, Dak Prescott. You remember that famous press conference that Romo gave after it was clear that they were going to keep Prescott as the starter?
I don't. No, me either.
Oh, my gosh.
Did he break down? Or?
No, well, he did a little bit, but it was really him accepting the fact that he wasn't getting his job back. Handled it with unbelievable dignity. In fact, I think it should be the kind of thing that parents show their kids when they feel like they got screwed over by something.
That's probably why I ignored it, because he came off as a bit of a puss, and I never liked him.
And then
I don't know, Jim. I don't know.
Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Huge one. Again, Favre was yanking the Packers around. Rodgers is waiting in the wings. That again, and you might not even call that one a controversy per se, but they did take him in the first round.
Yeah.
Rodgers, Favre was a 3-time MVP, so it's really more about the transition of the two. But those to me, those in Tier 1 are really peerless when it comes to quarterback controversy.
Top tier tiers, Mazz. I
really
like this
good.
one this week.
Really good.
Biggest NFL quarterback controversies. I feel like you got them all.
Can I add one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
It's probably a Tier 3 one, but just seeing the name Doug Flutie up there. There was Doug Flutie, Drew Brees.
Is that true?
Yeah.
In
Flutie
in San
with
Diego.
the Chargers. It was a smaller one.
I don't remember that.
But
I know that he was there in the early 2000s, but I don't remember that ever being a thing. But I could see how it could be, because, again, Flutie, he had that pesky, won't you go away? And he's like, no, because he was always a bit of a gamer. The one with Rob Johnson. Rob Johnson was one of the more ballless, sackless quarterbacks I've ever watched in my life in watching the NFL. Oh, I couldn't stand him. How could you even have that decision?
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.